Presenting to you
the interactive space for critical and objective open thinking.
Floating in Space with MartianUFO. Produced by MartianUFO Media. The best podcast on air with your hearty host. Catch episodes weekly on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
Hello everybody, this is MartianUFO and you're with me and Floating in Space. And man, first of all, I just want to take a second to thank everybody that's taken the time to listen or, take a snippet of any of the episodes. I really appreciate it. We're almost up at 300 plays now, and just grinding, trying to get that number higher, trying to produce more quality content and talk about more interesting topics and really bring you guys the information, whether you want to hear it or not. And to that point, as promised, today I was planning on talking about the Kayne West presidential rally and the speech that he gave in South Carolina. And first of all, I want to tell you guys that I'm sitting out here in the open. I just finished playing basketball and working out and things like this, so we have the sounds of nature and whatnot all around me, and people biking through and everything like this. So I'm gonna try and be as audible, as clear, as loud as I can be. And yeah, man, we're gonna get right into it. Kanye went to South Carolina for his first presidential rally to give a speech, and he said some very eye-opening things. And before I begin really diving into him, I just want to say that, in my opinion, I think that Kanye is one of the most, and despite how he looked on stage, despite the media stories that came up about him in the past and have been coming up about him, I still think that, he's an extremely intelligent and ingenious businessman. I think that he has a way of explaining things that people can't really decipher on the surface, but you got to have like a certain mind, I guess, or you got to take your time to really understand what he's saying. And he's very wealthy. Let's not forget that. He's accomplished something that not very black men, certainly, and the United States of America have accomplished. He's a billionaire, and we're gonna give him that credit. But anyways, Kanye went up on stage and he said some things. He said he was talking about being addicted to Percocets, being addicted to the medical form of heroin, basically. He said something about in Europe, there's a higher threshold for pain. He talked about how after being treated for certain things, he found out that they give awards for to the doctors, that give out the most medication in a year. And I don't know if that's true. That's just speculation on my part, and he said it, so we're gonna pass on that one. There's a rumor, not really, I don't call it a rumor myself, that Kim and the doctor that he was seeing tried to lock him up, tried to essentially make him crazy. And then he talked about the abortion. He talked about North, or his daughter, I think that's her name, and just how he was of the idea at the time that he didn't want to have his child, and he related to a personal story in which basically his mom saved his life because his dad felt the same way at the time, for whatever reason. He said, in his own words, he said that his dad didn't have time for him, and I, nor you, nobody really knows what the reasoning was. Nobody knows his dad or him personally. And so It's all speculation on that point. But to get started, I'm going to give kind of a personal story on my part, because when he dove into that part, I myself can really understand personally what he was saying and how he felt and things like this, because and this is gonna get pretty personal, and this part of it, this is like one of the times that I'm gonna dive into myself and give you guys a little tidbit of whatever. But for people who know or don't know, I was born in Egypt and I migrated to Canada with my mom, and in that story, before my conception, before my birth, my parents were young. I can't remember the exact ages, but it was kind of the same situation in which my mom got pregnant with me and it wasn't planned. And my biological father at the time, he didn't want to have the child, and he actually tried twice to force an abortion or to do what he had to do or whatever. And somehow, here I am. And in the same way, I can say that my mother saved my life by doing the same thing, by choosing to have her child. And I guess if you ask me what my opinion is on abortion or Planned Parenthood in general, I guess, I'm very fortunate. I'm lucky to be around, to be here, because you wouldn't know a hardy UFO. You wouldn't know any of my monikers. I just wouldn't be around, right, if that had happened. So I'm fortunate, I'm lucky. And I think that what did he say? There should be, he said plan A, no plan B. And I don't think, I think that women should certainly get a choice on that matter. And I don't know, it's a huge topic, controversial for sure. I'm very glad that I was of the benefit of it and didn't have to go through it. But I guess I just believe that women should have a choice, and that I don't know. I don't think it should be illegal or legal, but we're gonna see. I'd probably like to talk to someone else about that one to bounce ideas off of them. Anyways, he went on and spoke about what else, that if he ran, there was a rumor that he was going to split the black vote based on things that he was saying. And this is getting back to trying to decipher the information that he was trying to give and trying to understand really what he was saying, because me, if I ask myself, I know what he was saying. I understand the messages, the metaphors that he was trying to give. And certainly the first one, and the fact that he walked up on stage in a bulletproof vest, shows clearly how, because he said, I'm putting my life on the line for the truth, what he believes to be the truth. And we're going to speak about what his conception of the truth is. But he's up there on stage in a bulletproof vest because reasonably, if he starts talking crazy or saying something, somebody might shoot him. You never know, right? Like, they have security there, but you don't know who could walk into that event and not have a weapon or have a weapon on them. Anyways, he said the Harriet Tubman comment. I think this one is one of the most key comments from the whole rally, because there's tons of videos about it. Black people certainly were not happy about it, and let's talk about it. Kayne West said that Harriet Tubman essentially did not free the slaves back in what was it, the 1800s, whatever that time was, but that Harriet Tubman, she did not free the slaves, but she essentially led them to go and work for white people in America. And let's talk about what that means, because he said he doesn't appreciate the I can't remember the exact wording, but how big corporations in America essentially look at black people in society in terms of the athletes and actors and musicians and rappers, people who are kind of, I guess, upper in society or whatever. And I guess to speak about that and my kind of own interpretation of it, or my example of what he was saying, is that today in our world, especially with the Colin Kaepernick situation, I think that was going to be like the best situation that I could give, because Colin Kaepernick, he hasn't played in the NFL for quite some time, and the reasoning is because he started taking a stance against black injustice and different issues, social justice issues, by taking a knee during their national anthem before games. And you can understand that his team owners were not happy. A lot of the people in America were not happy. Trump was not happy. He commented about it. And now Colin Kaepernick is not in the league anymore, doesn't play. But he's still, I guess people say he's, one of the top 20 quarterbacks in the league, could still play, and that they're basically blackballing him, freezing him out because of different opinions and different ideologies for how they feel about the respect to the flag, to the national anthem, things like this. But in his situation, when he was playing, he made quite a bit of money. I don't know what his contract was or whatever, but certainly he and most of the athletes, because I think different athletes in the NFL have come out to speak about this, and the fact that in the NFL, you can certainly see when you look across the team owners, when you look across the actual commissioner, Roger Goodell, it's majority white-owned teams. The whole organization is owned by white owners, right, who have certain opinions, who believe certain things. And when he started taking a knee during the anthem, they were not happy, of course, and you could see how the effect of their power, the effect of their opinions threw him out of the league, when most people who have the conversation about the NFL or about football or about him could certainly say that, yeah, he should still be playing. Another example, looking at different companies in America, and I'm going to use the examples that Kanye kind of yelled out there. He shouted, he said, the NBA and Universal Music primarily are, again, white owned, I guess, and I don't know this definitively, but I think in his mind, he knows, right? Obviously, he's a rapper. He's worked for and with these organizations. For Universal Music, who employs a lot of rappers, a lot of black rappers or whatever, I think if they, are owned by a label, I guess, or attached to a label, it is the sense of ownership, basically. They don't get a lot of say in terms of their contracts. They don't get a lot of wiggle room in terms of how much money they make. The NBA, you can see, and to his point about Universal Music, they do sometimes want black people to be portrayed in a certain way, or to be doing certain things, or to look a certain way on camera, when in reality this might not actually be their life. This might not be the things that they promote when they aren't on camera, or this might not be who they were before they became big in music or took a contract deal or something of that sort. In the NBA's perspective, I would say that it's not to the same degree, but I'm pretty sure that the players are groomed before they get up on the stand for interviews, before they go up in front of any camera, right? There's a certain idea that they're supposed to talk about certain things and not talk about other things. And outside of Michael Jordan, who has ownership of the Charlotte Hornets, it's majority, again, primarily a lot of white owners in the league who have their own opinions about certain things, political or religious, whatever. And I think these players, these guys, have more say and what they can stand for personally and what they can promote. But then again, look at what's happening now with the effects of the bubble, and in the sense that when you, as an NBA player, when you step into the bubble, you're not allowed to leave the bubble. Yet, different players, for many weeks now, there's been reports, different players have had to leave the bubble for personal matters, emergency family. It's always an emergency family matter or an emergency personal matter. Not that I'm calling it bullshit, but I'm just saying that, if every single guy's excuse who leaves the bubble during this time, I mean, they're just leaving to go and do their personal business, of course, right? When the rules prior were that once you're in the bubble, you're not supposed to leave the bubble. Yet there are reports that, these players are all coming back at a later time and whatever. I'm thinking that they come in there, and some of them, after a day, they're like, you know what, screw this, we're out. And they leave for some extended period of time, and then they come back, because really why do they need to be there? And not have the freedom to leave and go as they please and things like this. I think it's interesting. I think it's odd. And sorry guys, I have a lot of information here about things like Kanye said, and we're going to talk about all of them. What did he go into next? He talked about how people told him not to date Amber Rose because she was a stripper. And then I think in a way he kind of likened himself to Jesus and made her liken herself to Mary Magdalene. But here's the thing. He said that he and her went to the Vatican together and were looking at art, I guess, and saw a painting of the Last Supper. And in this painting, there was a smudge beside Jesus on his side or whatever, where there's supposed to be another individual sitting there. And the person that was showing them the painting said, this is Mary Magdalene. And in his interpretation, Kanye said that this is how, it symbolizes that today the church doesn't really recognize and tries to, in a way, kind of erase these people that, at a time, you think back in that time, women didn't really have the same status as men, I think, religiously in the community or whatever. And so, I'm going to say, in my own opinion, I don't really know whether, Jesus, it says, and you're supposed to believe that Jesus accepted everybody. He hung out with everybody. And I think it is in the Bible that he basically was around sinners all the time, mostly. And he said that when they looked at this painting, Amber Rose started crying, because I guess that's how she felt, or that's how a lot of people feel. And I'm going to speak on that a little bit, just because I guess to the point of the church or whatever, I don't know if people would feel this way or if you could see evidence of this, but I'm pretty sure that if you as a person are homosexual, if you're a lesbian, if you're any of the, I don't want to say the acronym again because I don't want to mess it up, but the point is, if you are trying to get married and you go to the church to have your marriage traditionally, I think it's a lot more difficult, and I'm pretty sure a lot of times they almost don't even want to do it based on whatever factors, and versus whether if it's just, a man and a woman coming in and trying to get married. And in that way, you can see that, like a lot of people who are the outcasts of society, so to speak, who are not really of the social norm, they kind of get thrown to the side, especially right by most religions, and I'm gonna be careful, because speaking about Christianity and things like that, I think that these people don't really get a fair representation, let's say. He talked about gun violence in America. He talked about certain things. Let's go. This information that I have here. There's a rumor too that would apparently during the time that he was hospitalized and when he was being medicated and things like this, that the doctor and his wife Kim tried to get him locked up for good, or to get him locked up for a while. You know, another rumor saying that that she tried to have their daughter killed or something like that. And both of these things, I don't know if I believe them. But again, I just want to speak on the fact that, you know, Kayne West, I myself, in my opinion, I don't think that he's crazy. I certainly think that certain things have happened to him. You know, I was watching an Instagram story, and who was speaking, Riza Islam. Some of you guys might know him or follow his material, but he was speaking about the fact that, you know, Kanye needs help. You know, he's a brother who looks like he's been heavily medicated. They used these psychotropic drugs on him. They did electroshock therapy on him. And so after having all of these treatments induced on him, he may not be thinking the right way. He may not be, interpreting things as he should. But I think, and in my opinion, I really think that, you know, Kanye's trying to speak in metaphors as best that he can. He's trying to give the information without going up there and literally saying that, you know, because what problems are we dealing with right now? We're dealing with the child trafficking ring issue, in which certain companies, different people are coming up and being implicated in this. And that's a tough issue to talk about. And I think he doesn't want to come out and say certain things about it or expose certain things that he believes are happening or whatever. And so he's trying to give the information in metaphors. That's my interpretation. He said something about money not being real when people started asking him about the fact that he's kind of against abortion. Not really. He said that it takes a village to raise a child, not just money. It takes more than money. So no matter how much money you have, you're still going to have difficulties raising the child. And that I guess the media and society, I don't want to say society, but whatever entity we're supposed to be fighting has us all wrapped up on the idea of money, that, you know, it's going to save us, that it's supposed to be the all everlasting power that we need to really free ourselves of whatever it is that we're in. But he's right. You know, I don't know about it in Canada, but in America, money isn't backed by gold, you know, and it's not real. And I want to speak on certain things, you know, specific things that he said about how the World Trade Center didn't go down when a lot of other businesses or the economy in a lot of places in terms of commerce did go down. I was reading something today about the fact that in this week, the richest man on earth, basically the richest billionaire in the world, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, made $13 billion in one day. And yet, you know, there's people out here struggling and starving and can't feed their kids, can't feed themselves, may not have, you know, shelter. It's a tough time out here for people. And the dude, he literally cleaned house, made so much money. How can a person like this even have a heart? You understand what I'm saying? And this is happening right now, currently, while the coronavirus is happening, while defund the police is happening, while right now in our city, I'm reading articles about how, you know, they're going to be having a difficult time with the education. They're trying to decide whether kids are going to go back to school or not. And if they do go back to school, a lot of these schools are going to have a difficult time trying to run things with how much cleaning supplies they're going to need to have, trying to maintain the space with this number of students. I looked into like the 3 options that they're looking at a little bit, and they all kind of seem, they're not great. They're not great. And yeah, man, I just think that to that point, again, I was talking about being prepared for certain things, being prepared for the changes that were going to be happening quite drastically, because this type of stuff is going to affect everybody, whether you're in America or up here in Canada. The education system being depleted, or another article I was reading about the doctors in all of Alberta in different cities, how care is kind of being reduced because their salaries have been effectively shrunk by a third or something like that, and a lot of doctors are being forced to take out their emergency care, or they're shutting down completely, which should have you worried about the fact that this is a bigger scheme, bigger issue that's happening here. It's not just that coronavirus slowed down everything and that the economy basically shut down. Now things are still happening. We're still not even through everything yet. When people talk about phase 2, or talk about the fact that there's no vaccine yet, or the fact that we might have to accept a vaccine, or things like this. And I'm kind of brushing off into other topics as well, but the whole main point is that people, and black people certainly right now, might think that Kayne West is crazy, that he is saying things that, maybe he's a puppet, maybe somebody's feeding him information. But I think that he's trying to expose certain secrets, or ideas that certain people, powerful people, don't really want to be exposed. That's why he got up there with the bulletproof vest. That's why he was trying to speak in metaphors, you could say, effectively. And his comment further about the Harriet Tubman issue, and about black iconography, is what he said. And the way that these companies, they portray black people in a certain way, especially the black actors, the black musicians and rappers, and then they expect them to say that this is actually them, this is who they are, and that this is how they act all the time. And so then us, as people who see them on the media, on social media, who watch them, certain people that might follow them, we think that this is actually how they are, that they act this way all the time. And then it's more, I don't want to say fake news, but just information that's being fed to us that really, at the end of the day, it's distraction. Outside of the fact that Kanye's trying to give information, why do most people care what's really going on in these people's lives? What you really should care about is the fact that a dude makes, he makes billions in a day, and a lot of people are starving, basically can't pay the bills, or don't know what they're going to do for next year or at the end of this year. It's an issue. It's a problem for sure. And then as I'm just looking through this to see if there's anything else that I can go through. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm sitting out here, and the bugs are starting to bother me. So I'm gonna try and go quickly through this. Kanye spoke about how we are all equal, and the fact that there's no bad people, but sometimes we might be controlled by our environment or by demons. And we all have certain demons, certain things that kind of hold us hostage mentally or physically. And I guess to that point, we all got to try and figure out how to deal with our demons, how to face them, how to deal with our environments, certainly how to deal with different ideologies that people have in the space that you're living in. And when you go to certain areas, people don't agree with you and things like this, or people might look at you a certain way. I think, really getting comfortable with yourself is key to maybe even survival, to thriving in life, to getting ahead, to trying to be successful, to trying to build a platform or be anything, you know what I'm saying? And you can certainly say whether you agree with Kanye West with his comments or not. This is certainly a guy who has to have some kind of, he is courageous for sure to go on stage and to say things that he's going to say and to be, on camera, on the media, and the fact that these videos are going to be played and replayed over and over, and he's running for president. And in my opinion, people are saying it's like, oh, I hope he doesn't win, all this kind of stuff. I almost think that he could. I really think that this is, he's done, maybe 2 rallies now. Once he really gets into the thick of things, if people really start looking deeper into his information and, not just trying to be like, oh, fuck you, Kanye, and Kanye's fucking crazy and all this kind of stuff, really just trying to read it beyond face value. You might think that he's talking about conspiracy theories, he's talking about certain things, but, I'm gonna break into some other information. I listened to a video yesterday about adrenochrome, and I haven't really looked into it too much yet. I don't really know what adrenochrome is, but in the video it was talking about the fact that I think some country, these adrenochrome pills is what they are. They were seized, and what adrenochrome is supposed to be, I guess, is an enhancement drug that you take. It's a pill or whatever. And what they found in these pills, it was I don't know if it was Indonesia or somewhere like that. The doctor was on camera, on record, speaking, and he said definitively, after we tested these pills, and the reason that they were seized, to 99.97% accurate in these pills was the crushed up remains of human flesh. I think that's what he said. He said human flesh. And this is also kind of tying into the child sex trafficking issue right now that's happening, because in the video, and this is all information that's from the video, I found this on Instagram from one of the notable people that I follow who are courageous enough to go and actually talk and give deep dives into this information and share it when they know that it's just crazy, right? And so anyways, essentially where the pills come from and how they're produced or manufactured, they are the byproduct of cut up and crushed up babies, basically. That's what they said. That's what it said. And basically that these pills are transferred or shipped around by and for the elite, because they believe that taking these pills will keep them not youthful or young, but keep them from aging, I guess, faster, or keep them powerful, certain things like this. And getting into the topic of conspiracy theory, I think I'm not gonna speak too much on whether I believe that that's real or whether I think it's a thing or not, but from the video, which is a real video, it was a news video, it's not something that was fake news or made up. Real doctors were doing these tests. If they found these pills and they found what was in these pills, then to my understanding or my best knowledge, I'm going to say that there's some basis or truth to the fact that children are going missing, that certain companies are running as fronts to traffic children, and that different and notable actors and different personalities are certainly not speaking about it right now, and there's not really a peep about the topic at all. And when I think about the different notable figures, only two come up in my mind. Oprah and Ellen DeGeneres, I think, because I guess Ellen right now, she when I talked about the Wayfair topic, she has Wayfair furniture that sells on the Wayfair website, and her stuff, her line is quite expensive. So I guess think of it what you will. Oprah, I guess, because she is certainly of quite high status in America. She's one of the elite, and it is interesting that there is basically no sign of her right now. She hasn't come up with an interview or said anything about, child sex trafficking, like, we need to protect these children, nothing. There's been no word from either of them. And I read an article about Ellen in which she's on house arrest right now. Apparently she has an ankle monitor on, and so she's being investigated for something. It didn't say what she's being investigated for, but I just thought, all this stuff in a way kind of links together, ties together. And the fact that all this information is coming up now, the fact that Kanye at a time like now certainly felt like such conviction that he had to, do something. And I don't think that he's running for presidency for more fame or for the money. I think there's, certainly a lot of responsibility that comes with it. And I think that in his mind, he really is trying to free people from certain things that we don't even know about yet, certain things that in the coming months or years may be become known to us, and we're gonna see, and then it's just gonna be crazy. He said that he was speaking about here. So somebody asked him, getting back to the abortion, basically, not that he wanted to make abortion illegal, but how he would basically support single parent families and single moms who are raising children, saying that, he would give, upwards of, they could have, like, imagine if you could have $1 million a year to raise your children or your child and things like this, which obviously when you hear that it sounds quite outlandish. It sounds ridiculous. But he said that apparently he would fund it with other countries, namely Israel and Africa, the whole continent of Africa, and that they would support it, that he knows countries in that would support it. And so people started asking him how and why and all this kind of stuff. And I just, I don't know how that would even be possible, right? Like, why he would make a notion like that, and what he thinks about it. But I think that imagine Kanye West wins, and imagine that he actually tries to do this. I think trying to convince other countries to come together and fund each other to give each mother, $1 million to raise their children is certainly a lot easier than Trump trying to build a wall to keep the Mexicans out. You know what I'm saying? And he made points about how China is buying land in Africa. Why is that happening? I'm not sure why that would be happening, but there's a lot of things in China right now, and which is going to get into the topic of my next episode, because I watched a crazy video about what's happening in China and certain things that they're testing and things that are going to be out possibly next year. And it's going to change the way that we do everything, the way that we travel, whether you're able to travel, whether you're able to walk into a grocery store or go into a gas station or to do anything to take your kid to school. This is going to be huge. And I want to say it right now, it's so bad, but I can't. It's like a little surprise. Anyways, in closing, Kanye said that freedom doesn't come from the election. It comes from people really coming together and realizing the different powers that are taking control over them, that are, doing things around them that they can't even see, that they can't control. And I know that, down here at like the little level, we're here, we have to live our daily lives and things like this. What are we really supposed to do? And the fact that for us, personally, most people that I interact with, we're in Canada, so it doesn't really look the same way up here as it does down there. But the topic of my next episode is really going to speak to things that are going to affect people globally, and not just going to be a change for one country, but it's going to be a huge change for all countries. And then certain things that I guess it'll take a lot of understanding. It'll take people coming together, really trying to understand each other, trying to have that conversation, trying to see, I guess, past color, past class, past money, past certain beliefs about religion and things like this. Kayne West believes that this is how we're going to heal and free our world, and that, I think he's right. I think, freedom certainly doesn't come from elections anywhere, and certainly up here, because when we had our election or whatever, way back when, and then when we voted again, and the Liberal Party won up here again or whatever, I wouldn't say, and I would think that most people who live here in Alberta aren't of the opinion that the election freed us, or that it made life any better for us, or that our economy looks any better because of who's running our government right now. And I think if you've listened to any part of the video, certainly that part most Albertans would agree with, and that the election did not free us. And certainly going forward and looking ahead, there's a lot of people, a lot of doctors, and I read from that article, who are upping and they're just leaving. They're leaving Alberta. They're running to BC, and I think that's probably, unfortunately, going to be the option for a lot of people in the coming future. And but really, in the topic of just trying to have more understanding with and for each other, trying to sit down and talk about certain topics and not have hate and things come into it. It's going to take that. Just understanding. It's going to take more time too, I think, as well. And I think that's where I want to leave you guys. I said a lot of things in that video. I thought it was going to go a lot longer. I said I didn't know if it was going to be long or short, but just my interpretation of what Kanye was saying, of how he perceives the things that he was saying. And it's, going to be interesting watching him going forward in his further rallies, the things that he touches, that he speaks on, and whether black people, all everywhere basically come together to try and understand him, to try and understand the things that he's saying, to speak about certain topics like Planned Parenthood, about gun violence down in America, about medication and the effect of medication and big pharma and things like this, about education and the quality of education itself. And just really, really huge topics, man. But I'm gonna leave you guys there for tonight. We'll continue floating in space. And man, thank you everybody for listening and for being here with me. I appreciate all you, and I'll catch you on the next episode.